Hello? Yeah, I can hear you and see you proper. So, uh, so why you cannot share your screen with?
No, I can. It's just that maybe I will switch, keep on switching. So let me actually try. I'm actually doing Zoom
Yeah. I think it would be better
better.
you share and
Okay.
you switch, blah blah, because if I switch, it's very strange.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's try share screen. Okay. Let me know if that's visible.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
I can see it properly, and I think you can click.
Switching.
No, you can click the presentation model.
Presentation mode. Okay, wait. So then I have to open the PPT. Like
No.
this is the oh the
The PDF, the
PDF
PDF also has the presentation.
presentation mode. Okay, okay, wait.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Share your screen again,
Yeah.
bro. You need to
Window.
get used to the presentation.
Like I
No,
do presentations on PPT.
yeah, you can do the presentation on the PPT. 1 second, let me.
Yeah.
You clicked the home. You clicked the home.
Hmm. Yeah.
No, not here. So click the tools.
Hmm.
Okay, no. So how do we do it? Because
View.
I always use. Oh yeah, page display. See, page display
Yeah.
and since uh,
No problem. I can actually do the PPT also. Wait.
yeah. Because because you use the Adobe and I
Yeah.
always use the WPS.
Yeah. Let me try in the PPT. 1 second. How you otherwise doing, bro? All good?
Yeah, good. Today, yesterday I finished my teaching. Next week is the
Hmm.
reading week, so
Okay.
I will fly back to Dublin this Sunday. And
Yeah. Is the PPT visible?
yeah, it's possible. Yes, perfect. Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Like
can
this?
switch. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
So how are you? All good?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Actually, that meeting, remember I had told you about that the office meeting was happening. So it is actually happening. So
Oh,
I told my manager that that meeting was supposed to be 10 to 12. So I
oh,
told the super manager who was, going to have that talk. I met him in the morning. I told him I'll attend it for 1 hour and then I have to head off. I said I'm meeting a professor around my CFA level 3
no.
designation.
I'm not a professor. For now, I'm just a lecturer. No,
What do I call you in front of the
you can
students?
just call doctor.
Doctor.
No, you can just call me easy. It's fine because nobody
Easy
cares.
is fine. Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just call me easy. Easy is fine. No,
Okay.
in the UK,
Hmm.
the education, the university education system would be
Hmm.
lecturer, senior lecturer,
Hmm.
reader, and
Yeah.
professor. I'm
Right.
still in the bottom. I'm still in the bottom.
Yeah. No, no.
And
Okay.
yeah, and in Ireland, it should be assistant professor, associate professor, and full
Right.
professor.
Okay. Okay. So I can call you easy only in front of the students. That's
You
okay.
can.
Okay. That's
So
fine. No problem.
you come to here too early. I'm not sure how many students will come today. You know,
We know always I've been told.
let us wait for a moment.
Sure, sure, sure. No formal meetings always I try to go in at least, if office meetings, then at least 2, 3 minutes. But if these
Okay.
sort of meetings, definitely 10 minutes before.
Sure, bro. So One sec. Let me
Yeah.
check which kind of question I will ask you.
Okay.
So, for now, I'm so afraid today maybe only two of us do
Yeah.
this.
Do the session ultimately. Yeah. And then you record and give me your questions,
Yeah.
and
And
then I answer something, and then that's
yeah.
that's what we share. But how many students have been invited? My mom is asking.
In
200,
my
you told me
pro in
once.
my module,
Yeah.
207,
Oh,
207 students
right.
supposed to be here, but
Yeah.
bro, I cannot guarantee how many of
Yeah.
our classmates will be
Will
here
come in. Oh, yeah. 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 So
because
they,
yeah,
no, so they have like they have classes going on this week.
they have class.
Otherwise,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
oh,
because I did
mm-hmm.
my class.
Okay, okay.
And last week we have the tutorial. We
Mm,
have 3 slots of the
yeah.
tutorial, 3 slots. The first slots 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Oh, no, 9 a.m. to
Mm,
10 a.m. Second
right.
one 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Oh, we have
Yeah.
a we have
Student.
one of our classmates. And the third slot is
Mm,
the third slot is the 2 a.m. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. But the early
okay.
morning session, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yeah.
76 students supposed to
Mm,
be here, but only
yeah.
5 of our classmates come.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay.
so because it's early morning, I'm not sure
Mm,
how many will come. Oh, the student
yeah.
left.
Left. Yeah, he saw both of us blabbering. Is he like if someone raising hands for question, you
Yeah.
just
It's
let me
fine.
know
So I
that.
know.
Just let me know that. I'll
Yeah,
pause in the meeting.
yeah. I will check it. If some
Yeah.
students raise their hand, I will let you know. And
Yeah.
if they type some question in the chat box,
Sure. Yeah.
I will let you know which question they asked or something.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we have four. No, we have two.
Two students. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they will come here very soon.
Yeah. 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 I think at 11 there'll be quite a few entrants up around that. Yeah.
One second. Let me reply an email to the undergraduate teaching head. He's checking how is going on of How many? Oh, it's already 11. Perfect.
11 hours. Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm okay for the time being.
Okay, so we wait for 3 more minutes. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because maybe some of our classmates need to update their Zoom. Maybe they
Right.
have
Yeah.
some
Coming.
connection
Yeah.
issue or something. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
we
No problem.
we
No problem.
wait for 1 more minutes.
Yeah.
– 17. Yes.
How's the weather there at the moment? Is it
Yes.
okay?
Today the sun is shining in
Oh,
Cardiff.
yeah. Yeah.
How about the
Same
weather
here
in
as
Dublin?
it's the same. Yeah. Very beautiful day. Clear sky, sunny, not too cold. Yes, it's a
Yeah,
weather-wise.
to be honest, I feel, the weather in Cardiff is similar as the weather in Dublin.
In Dublin.
We are
Yeah. Yeah.
close to the sea, and
Right.
the
Yeah.
the same level.
Mm.
I think it's very close, and I even cannot feel a culture shock.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And more importantly, I feel the Welsh people really nice, so
Mm.
friendly.
Right.
I just moved
Yeah.
here. They give me a lot of support or something. Really nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
similar as our Irish.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are
Okay,
we good
so
to go? Yeah.
yeah. So let me do an introduction. First.
Sure. You want to
So
start the recording or like
I already started.
already did? Okay.
Okay.
Great. 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 Yeah.
So, hello everyone. Thanks for your coming. And although I cannot see your face, although I cannot hear your voice, but I can feel you. Thanks for your coming. And today it is our seminar for the financial markets and institution module. Today I would like to say, it is my honor can invite Mr. Rahul Gupta to be here to do a seminar talking to us. Rahul is a risk manager and working in Barclays Banks many years ago, and also he almost finished all the CFA exam. So today Rahul will talk about how the theories and regulation could work in the banking sector, and he will share his personally risk management experience with us. And in the end, Rahul will talk about how you could prepare for your CFA exam. Okay, welcome to Mr. Rahul Gupta again. And now it is your stage, Rahul.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Easy. Pleasure to be here. Although you said I worked for Barclays many years ago, made me feel a little old, but that's fine. But other than that, good morning to all of you. I see almost 30 of us, so Uh, I am actually going into this lecture. A little bit of few agenda points were given to me, so I don't know how helpful it may or may not be. I will give you a sort of perspective in general about how my career has shaped and how it sort of falls in line with some of the things that you're learning. I requested Easy to sort of share some materials with me around your course. just to sort of bring around a context of how things will happen. And, probably give you a little bit of my insights as to how I've seen it actually in the real world, in banking, in risk management, in regulation of sorts. So that's how I'm going to do. So I made just, a small deck of sorts. Easy probably will share that PPT with you soon. But basically, again, just a few sort of, rules or, guidelines in a sense. This session, again, is not just me going on blabbering and no input from your side's students. So essentially I want it to be as freewheeling as you would like it to be. Slides are the facilitator, not the guide. You don't need to sort of focus on the slides essentially to follow what I'm saying, which probably makes it different from a normal lecture that probably easy or other lecturers would take. Second point would be ask questions and don't ever stop asking more questions. Charles Proteus Steinmetz, a very famous statistician from Germany who worked a lot in electrical engineering, said in a very
Rahul,
wise quote, which
Rahul, so
hi.
may I disturb you one moment?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Second. Do you mind
Oh,
to
it's not
share the
shared.
slides
Yeah,
with us? Yes,
yeah,
please.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, let me know if it's visible. Easy. Is the slides visible?
Yes, it can work.
Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. So like I said, the as freewheeling as a discussion that you would like it to be. Ask questions. There's no limit to sort of asking, and there's no question which is stupid. Like all of us have been at that stage where we feel that this question may be a bit amateurish to ask, and we don't really ask it without seeking clarity. But there is a free hand given to all of you. Whatever questions you have, you are free to ask. Use the raise hands feature on Zoom, and once your name is called, please ask your question. And I've requested Easy to sort of facilitate that, and he's kindly agreed. No harm to ask a question in the middle of the discussion. Best to get your doubts cleared at the earliest, because there's a lot of things that I'll just probably say in flow. So if you don't understand probably the first or second point of it, there's good chances that it'll domino, towards the entire discussion around that. There may be a few acronyms both used in the slides and in the conversation. If you feel lost with any abbreviation, something like, CFA, which is basic enough, but something like that, because a lot of these things that, just we speak in terms of general lingo itself. And, as I'm talking for the first time essentially to, an audience like yourselves, students, undergraduate students in accounting and finance. My conversations have generally been with people from the industry, people who are sort of, working towards getting a CFA in banks or in investment management firms. So, a lot of things are sort of just unsaid and sort of understood in general. So, if there's any aspect there which you don't understand, please feel free to let me know. LinkedIn profile has been shared by Professor Wang, I believe. If you have follow-up queries, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. A few of you have already sort of reached out, sent me connections, asked me a few questions on LinkedIn, which I've tried my best to sort of give replies on. And, I may not reply immediately, but I will come to your query, and I make it a point that, whoever is in need of some information and I can sort of provide certain value to it, I will do it. So that I do it as a principle for, any connection who sort of reaches out to me. I'll just start with a little bit of a brief introduction about myself, just to sort of establish a little bit of credibility in terms of where I'm speaking from. In terms of my education, I've done BE in Electronics and Engineering from Manipal Institute of Technology, which is in India. A lot of you may or may not know Manipal Institute of Technology, but the CEO of Microsoft, Mr. Satya Nadella, is an alumni of our college. So, I always give this context so that people understand that technology is reputed, and, we came out as decent individuals from there. I've worked in the first, company that I came out of, or rather worked in after coming out of college, was a company called S&P Capital IQ, which is now S&P Global Markets Intelligence, as a QA analyst. So, there are these data platforms. I don't know if you may or may not have used, like Bloomberg. There's another very renowned platform called the Capital IQ platform. So we actually used to own it, sectionally from a technology perspective. Then comes, I joined Barclays as an app management analyst in the risk and analytics division. And then so I was there in India for about 6 years or so, across certain organizations, primarily Barclays. But then I had done different roles in Barclays. So I had two more stints in Barclays in the wealth banking and the retail app management team. So retail, is there a typo over there? So it should be retail banking. Uh, about my CFA, I've completed 2 levels of the CFA. I am going to do the level 3 most likely this year. And I'm also doing a Dharma designation, which essentially is a data management, certification of sorts, which is sort of more relevant to the current role that I'm doing. I completed my master's in financial risk management from Trinity College in Dublin, wherein I met our esteemed lecturer, Easy Wang. So we sort of, met over there and we became good personal and professional friends as well. So that's how, we sort of hit it off in a sense. After my master's in Dublin, I joined a regtech company called Compliance Solution Strategies, which essentially manages regulatory submissions for hedge funds and private equity companies in the US and across Europe. Then I joined a retail bank here in Permanent TSB. I'm not sure if how big or wide its footprint is in the UK, but Permanent TSB is a very sort of historical bank. I think almost has 140 years of existence, and I joined in the data governance function. So I have an entire slide on data governance. In a sense, it falls most likely into the second question category that you guys had given me around regulation in the industry and how that probably works. So we'll come to all of that later. And right now, I work as a senior data governance and controls professional in Elavon Financial Services, which is a payment services provider in Europe, similar to maybe a Revolut or a Stripe or a Square, that type of company. And the parent is US Bank, which is a bank based out of the United States. I am an avid football, cricket, and tennis enthusiast. I play, and I've especially star marked that. You'll see that in the slide, because that's, I believe, and my advice to all of you also would be to have hobbies and interests even outside the domain. Gymming, sports, cooking, traveling. Give yourself, that dopamine sort of hit, like from your studies, from your work, definitely, but also from your other avenues of de-stressing of sorts. I noticed a very nice line that Easy had put in his slides about sharp mind and good ideas generate from breaks and sleep and exercise, which is so underrated in our industry, but it is something that you do need to take care of, because it provides maximum efficiency at work. Your productivity is better, so all of those aspects can also be considered. So I believe that you should have an avenue where you are discovering all of this as well. So that was a little background about myself. I'll just stop sharing in the middle as of now. I just wanted, Easy, to get a few, perspectives of the students as well. Just, a couple of students, if they'd like to give me a little perspective around. One is to, what sort of interested them into accounting and finance as an undergrad or basically a career path. And secondly is where you sort of see yourself after pursuing the course. So just to sort of get a flavor from the students as to what they are expecting sort of through this discussion as well. So if we could give probably 5 minutes for that. Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I think you can continue, and
Okay.
in the end, we can do
We'll
the
bring up.
Q&A session. And for now, you can just continue or something.
Sure.
Our
Okay.
if our students have some question or something,
Yeah.
they can directly tap. They can directly
Okay.
raise
Fair
up
enough.
hand.
Fair
So
enough.
you can continue.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of, so I've kind of categorized my course based on the agenda questions that Easy had given me. So essentially, number one would be the financial markets or banks related experience and what I've learned out of there. Secondly, would be sort of risk and regulation, how that comes into the picture and how some of what you may be studying is relevant in the industry that we're in. And the third one was a very pointed, discussion around the CFA. I've done levels 1 and 2 of that, which I mentioned. So we'll come to that right at the end. So about Barclays, I sort of picked up this, block diagram from one of Easy's slides only because I feel that that presents a very accurate picture in terms of some of these big banks that we work in. Examples could be JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Barclays, Credit Suisse, a lot of these European based big banks as well. So the three sort of blocks we can see are financial institutions, financial intermediation, and financial markets. Now, big banks sort of work most likely in like at least two, if not all three blocks in this space. Now, Barclays, let's say for an example, which can be extended to any big bank, like I said, is most definitely would be classified as a financial institution. So a big bank for sure, because you have retail, wealth, corporate, SME, all these divisions in which different classes of customers can go to sort of lend, take money, and then there are deposits, etc. So essentially, any bank in the sort of truest form of the definition of being a bank is a financial institution. A financial intermediation as well, because a lot of these banks have a lot of activity in the financial markets. So they are intermediaries for traders, for retail traders, corporate traders, anything of that sort. So and financial markets, of course, is sort of a backbone to the entire financial system. So people trade different kinds of instruments, stocks, bonds. A lot of this you would have already come across in your accounting and finance course. So different kinds of instruments and all of that. So financial markets is basically the medium wherein all of these trades, transactions, etc. happen. So compare this in layman's terms to a normal Tesco's, for example. You go to a market and then you buy all the stuff you need, pay the cashier there, and then come out from there. So in layman's terms, that is the equivalent form of a financial market. To sort of contextualize my Barclays experience in terms of how it sort of falls in the line of what you're studying. So basically, my interest peaked in financial markets through my first experience in a company, like I said, called S&P Capital IQ. So the Capital IQ platform, which is similar to Bloomberg Terminal, as an interlude to my interest in financial markets. Now, in normal terms, or we use stocks, bonds, like some of this lingo. But when you start talking to financial experts and people who are invested in the market, traders, etc., you'll come across terms like equity, debt, FX, commodities, derivatives, etc. Now, equity is sort of a little fancier term for stock investments. Debt would be probably your bond investments. FX is foreign exchange, commodities, derivatives. So these are different kinds of, financial products, etc., that are present in the platform, which are used by banks, etc., to trade. Uh, I was there as a technology app management analyst, which managed applications for derivatives products. You'll probably get to know in detail about the theory of how derivatives essentially work. But it's basically to put it probably in one sentence, a product wherein you can trade on things. So basically, its value is derived derivatives from the value of a physical asset or a digital asset or any kind of instruments that ways. So, what we managed was an application that, was used for derivative products pricing and risk analysis, which used to provide P&L risk numbers associated with trades in asset classes. Now, when I say derived from, physical kinds of assets, those physical assets could be foreign exchange, could be commodities like gold, silver, platinum, copper, nickel, whatever, and debt options. So debt options could mean the instruments that are made as a result of bonds being listed by certain companies, entities, corporations. Now over there we sort of interacted with front office, middle office, and back office teams. Now in a bank, just to sort of put it in simpler terms, so the trading teams on which actually do the trades are called front office teams. So if I, let's say, have to buy an Apple stock, or if I have to buy, let's say, Tesla stock, I am the trader, and then I sort of execute or ask my team to sort of go through with that trade. So I am basically a trader and I'm part of the front office team. With big banks and big sort of investment management firms, you always most likely should have a middle office and a back office team as well. So the middle office is, generally the risk teams which, ensure that the traders don't go overboard, not take additional financial risk that could probably jeopardize customers or the bank's capital, base, for example. So the middle office teams, which come more so in the lines of regulation, which is the second topic we're going to discuss, which, so these are basically the guardians of sort that have to be there to, limit what the traders are doing. Because at times you would have studied a lot of these, case studies, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of future ones discussed with you as well, in which traders have gone berserk, lost and put in a trade for a lot of value and then lost. So the middle office teams are generally there to sort of limit the activities or make sure that whatever activity is happening from the front office teams is in check. So that's very important from a structural regulatory point of view. Because in difficult times, probably at the moment, the with the inflationary and the high interest rates, those functions become very, very important. There are back office technology and regulatory functional teams, so to handle sort of the entire tech stack, to sort of manage applications used by some of these front office and middle office teams. The infrastructure behind it, whether it's based on cloud, whether it's based on Windows or Unix infrastructure. So all of that is maintained by back office technology teams. So that was my experience in sort of the investment banking side of Barclays. When I was part of the retail banking technology team, I used to handle IVR applications. So IVR is basically interactive voice recognition. So essentially, if you like, in a normal example, let's say you ordered something from Amazon, the parcel comes, you open it up and see that the product that you asked for, you don't like it or you want to return it. So you call up this automated voice service system, to sort of mention that, okay, I'm not happy, I need to speak to a customer care agent. So all of that. So that application is essentially called an IVR application. So you can imagine that when we are dealing with retail and wealth banking customers, we would need to have a certain system like that to cater to customer clients, customer queries, all of that. So we basically manage the entire technology around that suite of applications. Also, when I was part of the wealth banking technology team, we managed applications. So we managed like big data warehouses that used to hold data, the entire migration from legacy systems to new systems, all of that. And I just put in a definition that any client who has more than £1 million in assets is considered a wealth banking customer. Now, essentially, like, let's say if you have a big portfolio, then certain banks give you sort of privileged services based on the fact that you have that much assets held with them and you want to sort of keep that bank managing that fund for you. So they give a few privileged services only to those customers. So that essentially was the entire wealth banking team, and the team used to manage that. Just give you a pause there for a minute or so, if this is too much information to grasp, but I'll just pause a minute easy for if there are any questions, if there are any raised hands around this, anything that I may have said that was not clear, need clarifications on, so I can do that. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Okay, I'll move on to the next one around regulation and risk management. Regulation and risk management, again, very important to the sort of the financial well-being of the markets in general. I heard my manager this morning just say that, we are there essentially to protect the bank, So, when things are going, nice and flowy, probably during, I would say, recent years, maybe 2019, 2020, where we were seeing daily highs of the market, and, anything that you were putting money in was appreciating in value, the era of free money. The risk management guys in those scenarios maybe aren't, recalled much, remembered much. But in times like this where inflation is high, the war crisis with Russia and Ukraine, like when like there is another crisis back in 2008 as well that happened. So that's when, during crisis times is when the risk management guys are brought into sort of the full frontal picture, and some of the initiatives, measures that the risk management guys take become very important for maintaining the health of the system, of the markets, of the institutions, etc. So again, I've picked up this block diagram for one of Easy's slides, wherein financial institutions have regulations, have risk management, and have financial intermediation rules applied to them. To give you a sort of flavor of the different risk management functions currently where I am working. So I work, as I said, as a data governance analyst in the operational risk function here at Elavon. Um, the different risk management functions, that probably are sister domains to our what we do is coming in functions like credit risk, operational risk, market risk. Now, I'm sure in you'll be, given exposure around these sort of risk topics in much detail in your course. But credit essentially is like, let's say if I as a bank give, you as an entity a loan and you default on it, that's a credit risk for me. The operational risk is my day-to-day sort of risks, something like tech going down, if there is a fire or if an earthquake comes, then how do I manage that risk in which my one complete office is down? How do I sort of back up and make sure that my customers aren't inconvenienced, and how all of that could done? Market risk is anything to do with the market, so liquidity, volatility, interest rate risk that we are seeing so much of in current markets, in which you can see there is this huge volatility that people are expecting, but still, there is this normal or different outlook that people are doing. Then there are risk management functions, to specifically look at functions. There's compliance, there's financial crime, there's AML, which is anti-money laundering, financial fraud, regulatory services, and enterprise risk. Now, financial crime and AML probably are the most, recognizable risks that you would see. So, if there is sort of a fraudulent lender, or maybe a shell company, or maybe entities set up, in which certain funds are being channeled. So the financial crime and anti-money laundering teams in the bank basically do a due diligence of our customers. Now, if there is a dubious customer who is probably uh, financing funds that ultimately later is seen that is used in, like probably terrorist financing, so that becomes a problem for the bank that is facilitating all of that. So in that sense, you can see the different breadths, and you can see how risk management becomes so important in that context as well. Compliance, uh, we have to be compliant to a lot of rules, a lot of acts, a lot of orders that, let's say, governments in particular jurisdictions would have passed. So banks, as a result, need to follow all that. So the compliance teams make sure that there is no funny business by any particular team, and then there is reasoning behind whatever business or transactional decisions we are taking, all of that. Regulatory services, again, a big sort of entity that all banks have to speak to is the regulator in, the SEC in the US. There's the Central Bank of Ireland in Ireland, here in the UK. There is the Central Bank of the Bank of England, sorry. So which acts as regulators. So there are these regulatory submissions that each big entity or even small investment management entity has to give to the regulator, which shows the current health of the bank, the way the business is performing. So all of that becomes part of the risk management, because regulatory services, again, is regulators come back to you with a lot of questions at times. So you have to know exactly what your teams and functions are doing. There are three stages of controls at our organization, where we have the process and functional controls, which is managed by the business lines. There is internal audit functions, and then there are external audits and regulators. Now, some of these audit organizations you would have heard of, firms like PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst and Young, Grant Thornton, the big four, KPMG, Deloitte. So these are basically external auditors who, audit generally your financials, but help you in a lot of other risk management initiatives like consulting on, let's say, a regulation or bringing about a certain program or function into the bank. So they become also very important because, ultimately we are all bound by the regulator. We have to do things in a process or in line with what the regulator has to say. The data governance function, the part that I am in, is an operational risk which targets high risk reports that are submitted to the regulator. So some of these examples would be a common reporting, it's called. Then, we have to submit capital ratios of the bank, which are basically shows the financial health of the bank based on the, activity, payments, wealth services, all of that is done. The regulator importance, the reference to the 2008 subprime crisis. Now, I was discussing this with Easy, and probably a lot of you were very young by then. So you may not have heard of or know much about the 2008 subprime crisis. I'm sure it will be discussed in detail because that's a very important case study for financial markets, the way they are in general. We'll probably have to spend a lot more time to discuss the nitty gritties on the 2008 subprime crisis. But just to let you know that there was a period in 2008 where the market suffered dramatically. There was huge losses in the market. There was massive job losses in the US and across the world. And that basically had given birth to a number of initiatives that the US regulator and the world regulators had to bring into the picture. Banks are visibly, like the slide says, in better shape due to the Dodd-Frank, Sarbanes-Oxley compliance controls. Now, again, you can obviously Google all of this stuff, and if you have points that aren't clear, please reach out to me, and we can discuss all of these acts in more detail and these controls, compliance controls, etc., in detail. But essentially, due to some of these risk management initiatives, um, the banks, like I said, are visibly in better shape. So indeed, there was a huge outlook that there would be a recession, at least this year. That outlook is improving, but because of some of these risk management initiatives, banks in general are in a little bit of a better state to handle the offsets and the outputs of recession if it does happen indeed, which doesn't look completely likely even as per some analysts. But then again, it's something that then amplifies the importance of risk management in general. Regulation and risk management are probably, like I said, the less glamorous counterparts of banking. And, I usually call them the gatekeepers when things go awry. Because, if the recession comes, we can say that, we did put in place certain things by which, things completely did not descend into chaos as a result. When things go good, like 2019, 2020, the bankers did a great job. But when things become difficult, then people start looking at the risk management folks. Where are they? What were they doing? Why were they sleeping at the wheel? All of that. So, that's sort of been my experience seeing both banking and risk management in a sense. Um, Again, I'll probably give it half a minute Easy for any questions if you see. But if not, then we'll move on to the final, the CFA part. I think most students are want to get information on that. So yeah, I'll just give it a minute, stop sharing in the meanwhile, if there are any questions.
Any questions, guys? If you have any questions, just propose. You can just unmute yourself and ask question to Rahul, or you can choose to type your question into the chat box.
Into the chat, yeah. And yeah, like I said, there's no dumb questions, so please feel free to ask anything that you'd like. Okay, no problem. We'll move on to the CFA part Easy, and then If certain people have something to ask, we can go there. Yeah.
Yes, no problem. Do it.
Okay. I just need to share the screen again. Yeah. Okay. Right. So about the CFA, it stands obviously for Chartered Financial Analyst. It is a sort of a reputed designation to have on your CV. Apart from that, also it is, not just from a CV perspective. It basically covers topics that are very relevant in the real world. Myself, I've done my CFA level 1 and level 2. I plan to do my level 3 this year. I've given the level 3 exam once, but this time I plan to give it again, just so that it gives me the ability to sort of use the CFA designation against my name. But number one is, obviously there are three levels to clear as a stepping stone to obtain the CFA designation. Now, there are other parameters also that you must need to pass to use CFA with your name. I think there is a requirement of some X number of years of work experience as well. But if you clear the three exams, and if you have work experience to back it up, there is a good chance you can add, Rahul Gupta, let's say CFA to your name anyway. So there are certain rules associated around it. It is, like I said, a very renowned professional designation to have on your resume, with knowledge being the most valuable. Because, like I said, there are topics that you will see day in day out if you are, like, let's say, being an investment management analyst, being a research analyst. There are topics that will be used on a day-to-day basis because they are in use in the markets that you'll be working in. A very good part about the program is this dynamic, agile modules with keep changing with market conditions. So I remember that blockchain, Bitcoin, etc., was like just starting to gather pace around 2019, 2020. So basically, I was surprised that the CFA actually put in a module to sort of discuss blockchain and discuss AI, machine learning, all of this stuff. So it keeps on changing, which is a very great thing, and it sort of keeps up with the times that the markets are in, and what they feel that would be worth knowing for someone who has the CFA designation. Topics like corporate finance, fixed income, another name for debt, quants, which is your quantitative techniques, accounting, portfolio management, etc., are covered in the three levels of the CFA. In my experience, I like to say that level 1 is a lake, level 2 is like an ocean, and level 3 is like an island. Because level 3 focuses on portfolio management, and you may even own an island after completing this designation. That's, there's one of the good things, because a lot of knowledge that you get out of these levels of exams helps to sort of increase your knowledge, increase your reputation in the industry as well, because you then start knowing about a lot of things that you would be doing on a day-to-day basis. I can tell you about the things that worked for me. The materials, the professors, the mock exams, and the time management. So I refuse to reference material from a certain publisher. I had a very good professor who I used to interact with. He himself had experience in the banking industry from the US. He'd worked for BlackRock, he'd worked for Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and he'd seen the 2008 subprime crisis live. Like, he was on one of the trading floors when that crisis was unraveling. So, apart from what we studied in the designations from him, we were able to get a lot of experiences from him in terms of, like, basically what we are doing right now. My professors helped me in doing that as well. Mock exams, I can't, stress the importance of mock exams. You have to give mock exams before you sit for the final CFA exam. It'll give you a sense of the type of questions being asked, but more importantly, how to stay calm under sort of exam conditions, how to manage your time. So when I was giving it, you had two exams on a same day. You had an exam at 9 to 12 in the morning, and then a 2 hour break, and then 2 to 5 another exam. So, at the end of it, you can get pretty exhausted. And if your brain is not 100% tuned in for all of those 6 hours, that may be just the 1 or 2 marks by which you may miss passing that particular exam. So mock exams, you have to sort of create an exam atmosphere around you and sort of tune your body and your mind to sort of give that final exam. So I would suggest to anyone who's planning to answer, please spend time, give probably 2 or 3 weeks before your exams to have these mock exams, because that was the ultimate game changer for me personally. A caveat though, do not allow anyone to let you or tell you or convince you that this does not need hard work. The study material is rigorous, has multiple questions and mock exams that should be answered to pass all three levels. They say that as a thumb rule, it requires 300 hours of study. But again, it depends on your, grasping ability. It depends a lot on personally how you want to sort of look at exams. But I would say the reward at the end of it is all worth it, because if you see that pass, on your result when the exam results are declared, that makes it all worth it. And at the, like, even if you, like, let's say don't pass the exam, you still have the knowledge associated with that. So that can obviously, will sort of come through to the way you speak to invest, like people in the industry. Uh, Apart from what you study in the CFA program, I'll also say that you need to read a lot, be it Financial Times, LinkedIn content, informative news articles on social media or news websites. You have to have a tune of what's happening in the markets live. uh, it doesn't make sense if you can define a debt or like a bond instrument for me, but you wouldn't know what is happening in the debt markets of the US. It just doesn't work. It basically, that's the difference between you being a theoretical financial expert, if that exists, compared to what you're doing in the industry. So that's very important. So I LinkedIn content, if I emphasize that for a minute, there are a lot of very good investment management professionals, CFOs that are there on LinkedIn, who keep on producing LinkedIn content to sort of share their opinions on certain things happening in the market, certain geopolitics, macroeconomic events that may affect a lot of things, who come up with content like that. And their insights are very focused, and it gives you a good insight on what's happening in the industry, in markets, in politics, in political regions in general. So I'd suggest using or alleviating the power of LinkedIn to that effect to you guys as well, because that's what worked for me in because when I could speak of certain market events happening live with, let's say, an investment management professional, there are these conversation points that you don't need to work hard for. It just happens in conversation. So use LinkedIn to that reference as well, apart from the fact that if you want to create careers in this domain, LinkedIn is a very good portal where you can talk to recruiters, job experts, etc. So and also the emphasis on news articles on social media or news websites. So there's this huge obviously discussion around how social media is maybe not good or not that productive. I probably differ on that, because social media can be as productive as you want it to be. Like look at, probably follow Financial Times pages, follow news pages that let you know what's happening in the markets and the industry. And again, the last point, always find ways to upskill, be it coding, Excel tips and tricks. Excel, obviously, by now you would know, is massive in the industry. There's any like dependence that can be reduced on Excel. It just doesn't seem to happen with whatever comes out. It just keeps on increasing. So you would study a lot about accounting methodologies, theories, etc. in your undergrad degree, but then additionally, if you can pick up, let's say, an R course or a big data course, I think Easy would probably show you a bit of R as well, because we also discussed it when we were students. So, be it coding in R, be it statistics, be it Python, which is a very helpful tool used in quantitative trading and algorithms and all of that. So some of these upskilling techniques, you should keep on updating yourselves with that, just so that you are relevant in the industry. Because the way the markets are moving, the way techniques, programs essentially are moving in the current industry, you have to be dynamic and agile yourself, as individuals in terms of skilling, etc. So I think that's it from my end in terms of slides, Easy. Yeah, if there is anything that someone would like to ask, I see some chat questions as well.
Yes, I think the two questions is for you. The first
Mhm.
question is, what should I look at next after the degree if I wanted to pursue this path? I think it means this path is your career path, I think. Okay.
Again, yeah, there's no right or wrong answer for that. It depends on whether it basically depends on your interests and what you want to do. For me, if I tell you from my experience, and like if we contrast it to what Easy is doing, there's completely two different paths based on what we are. So that's a clear example for you right there. Easy did his masters, went on to do his PhD, become a very successful lecturer now. For myself, I did my my engineering, I did my WorkX, I did my masters after that, and now I'm in a risk management function. So a lot of people, like my boss, for example, he's done his MBA as well. So he was an engineer, he did his MBA, worked in KPMG for a big while, and then now is basically leading the operational risk function in our bank. So again, it depends a little bit on your interests as well. So if you want to do a master's in finance, or you want to do an MBA, you want to do a master's in data analytics, if you feel that data analytics domain, the Hadoop, the big data side, and data being as important in the digital era that we are living in. So yeah, it completely depends on your interests. So I would rather suggest look at your interest first, and then probably explore the avenues or the degrees that you want to sort of pursue in that domain, I would say.
Okay, so the next question is from our Shiqi. Our Shiqi is
Yeah.
very brilliant, and
Yeah.
he's very smart. And
Good to know.
one day he booked my office hour and talk with me about the career suggestion.
Good
Okay,
stuff.
his
Yeah.
question is, can I ask if
Mhm.
I wanted to start taking exam now and waiting to work in the UK in the future?
Mhm.
Do you
Mhm.
recommend me to starting with taking ACCA exam or the CFA exam?
Right. Again, the ACCA exam and the CFA exam, very honestly, I feel fundamentally look at different things. The CFA, I can speak more, in confidence with the CFA because I've done it myself. It looks at corporate finance, it looks at fixed income, it looks at equity investments, it looks at, things to do with the markets. Not completely sure, I have a little bit of an idea what the ACCA covers. So audits and, risk assurance, a little bit of that stuff. Now, like I said, audits and risk assurance is a domain which will never go out of fashion. But then you need to sort of decide which avenue you would want to go to. If you are looking to sort of alleviate your knowledge around financial markets, banks, intermediaries, all of that, I would say the CFA probably is better. But if you are looking at, let's say, audit or risk assurance or risk consulting, all of that, then it is probably better to do the ACCA. But again, so this is, there's no right or wrong answer. It all depends on what your interests are.
Okay, so I add some comments, okay? Because
Yeah.
yesterday I talked with Kevin. I talked with Kevin Evans. So
Okay.
your professor Kevin Evans, I asked him, so if some
Mhm.
students wanna be an academic as us, and
Mhm.
will you recommend them to do the CFA, FRM, or the ACCA exam? And Kevin said no, because when you try to get the FRM, ACCA, or the CFA certificate, you need
Yeah.
to ask the referee to give
Mm.
you a reference to show you is that this person will apply this knowledge in their daily life. So the
Mm.
question is, if you want to be an academic, you need to think about, will you use the CFA knowledge or the FRM knowledge in your daily life? The
Yeah.
answer would be no, because we don't need to teach. We don't need to teach this kind of thing every day. So in this way, if you want to be an academic, if you want to do a PhD, you don't need to get the CFA, FRM, or ACCA exam.
Yeah.
And as Rahul said, the differences between the CFA and ACCA is for the accounting. So if you want
Mm.
to be an accounting or audit or
Yeah.
something, you can just go for the ACCA. But if you want to do some investment, if you do some analysis or something, maybe the
Yeah.
CFA would be better. And
Yeah.
if you want to work for the risk management industry, the FRM would be better. It's
Definitely.
on your interest.
Agree.
Okay, let
Yeah.
us see the next question. The next question is from Ansheng. Ansheng is also a very brilliant, very sharp, very smart student. He
Yeah.
asked, I would like to ask, if I want to work in the risk and management, what
Mm.
quality should I have?
Uh, Anson, like I wouldn't go into technical skills. I'll just say that have a good attitude in terms of learning and grasping first, because that's not just important in risk and management. That's, I would say, important for any sector. Number one is always learn or look for avenues where you can learn and be updated about events happening in that domain. And secondly, I would say about the upskilling part, like look for constant ways to upskill, keep yourself informed of what's happening in the risk and management domain, whether keep yourself updated around certain geopolitical risks that you may see. I'll give you an example that I read just today. There is talks of a pact being inked between countries of Iran and China to sort of trade in Chinese yuan, which poses a massive threat to the petrodollar domination that the world has been seeing so far. And this bloc consists of Iran, it consists of China, the BRICS countries, and Russia as well. So that's a very important fundamental risk how markets globally would be changing. So things like that, just keep yourself abreast of all these movements and all of that. With excels and day-to-day work, that can be taught, but this is equally or if not more important according to me. So that's definitely a quality that you should have to work both in finance and in risk management, I would say. And that's what I've seen with my experience so far.
Okay, so the next question is
There's, I
from
think, a question easy you missed from Ben. Ben Lupton is asking,
we
do you
have
think
so
this
many
one?
questions. Let us do
Yeah,
it one by one. So
sure.
the next question is from Yanni. Yanni is also very
Mhm.
smart, and
Yeah,
she's trying to do the CFA exam, and she
yeah.
asked me some question about this, and she
Mm.
asked you, how could you balance your time when working and studying your CFA exams?
Yeah, so I'll give you my experience, Yani. I, like I said, the CFA exam is hard work. It's not a piece of, cake in terms of the effort that you have to put in. So I actually, had to go to a little bit of extremes for that 6 month duration in which I was preparing. I used to go into the office, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 working hours. And then I would actually sit in a meeting room in the office just to get that silence and a little bit of ease of sorts, because at times you just need a very silent environment to sort of sit with your books and just focus completely. So I used to get a cup of coffee, sit with my books in a meeting room in the office, and I did that religiously for 40-45 days. So that was a technique that worked for me. Again, I'm not saying that it works for everyone, but just to be cognizant of the fact that, whatever you are doing, you'll have to sort of make time and give time to focus on the CFA exam, because it does require a good amount of preparation. And the preparation aside, the mock exams, like I said, I can't stress the importance of how mock exams affected me personally. It was, there was a time when I gave the exam, didn't give mock exams, and I didn't pass, and I gave mock exams and I passed that exam. So the number of times that I say it, I just believe that, more over and over, that mock exams have to be given. So that's worked for me. But again, it depends a lot on your grasping ability, the way you want to study and do your other things. So yeah, that's how it is, I'd say.
Okay, so the next question is still from Ansheng. Ansheng asked
Yeah.
you, if the master degree is more competitive compared to undergraduate, it's 100%.
Yeah, I was actually, looking forward to what you had to say about that. But no, I would agree with you. It's different in a master's, like at undergrad level, what happens is all of you are raw and at the same age category. You're studying things together. In masters, what happens is, so Easy, I think, also came in directly from his undergrad to do his masters. I did my undergrad and then worked for 6 years, got a flavor of the industry, did my CFA, and then did my masters. So you can look at it both ways. As probably an undergrad student just coming into master, it helps to sort of know people who have experience in the industry. So your horizons in a way also expand. You get to know a lot of things. But then again, if you see it in terms of a competitive sense, not that we are very competitive, Easy, I don't feel, but yeah, in that sense, there were very, very qualified individuals that we had in our master's cohort. People with experience in the government sector, in banks, in geographies across the world. So yeah, if you put it that way, I would say the master's degree, has its rewards, but that's also a good amount of effort, and you meet a lot of very qualified individuals there.
Okay, so Ansheng, I can also share you another one point, because I know you are a Chinese, I'm a Chinese, but the Western culture is totally different with the Chinese culture. In China, we prefer to pursue a degree, and we think, okay, the higher degree you can get, the more qualified you can get. This is our understanding. So that is why our Chinese people prefer to do a PhD, and then they go for the postdoctor to do blah, blah, blah. But, the thing is totally different in the Western. In the Western, the company will look at how much profits, how much benefits, and what can you do for this company. It's about your skills. Sometimes there is no point you directly to do a master degree. But when you want to do a master degree, you need to think about which kind of skills I can get, and how I can apply this kind of skills in the future work. This is what
Exactly.
you should think
Yeah.
about. And this is the difference between the Western working culture and the Chinese working culture.
Yeah, just one small point to add to that, Easy. Also, you would see once you're in the industry, like if you want to do the CFA levels while you're working, a lot of the organizations, if they believe while you do the CFA after passing, it will help in increasing value for the organization. A lot of organizations have this program in which they sponsor your CFA.
Yes.
So if you can do that, then nothing like it, I would say. Then the world is your oyster.
Yes, and for example, if you work
Mm.
for the KPMG, if you work for the Deloitte, and they
Mm.
will ask you, they have
To
the
do.
program, they will ask you to finish the ACCA in 3 years or two
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
If you can, if you can finish, you can get a promotion. If you cannot, you will be kicked out. So this is, yeah, because this
yeah,
kind of thing is a benefit for their organization, as
exactly.
Rahul said. Okay, so
Yeah,
let us see the next question from Mao
yeah.
Chuan. Mao Chuan is a very brilliant Chinese girl,
Mm.
and
Okay.
she came from a very good, very high quality business school in China. And she asked you, can I ask in what ways do you feel the CFA has helped you personally in your career?
Oh yes, in more ways than I can imagine. I did the CFA to sort of get an understanding. So I have done, like I said, my bachelor's in engineering. So I was a techie when I started off. But then when I sort of came across these different financial products and the work that I was doing back in Barclays was very sort of market focused or market driven. Now, let's say I am a techie and, Easy comes to me being a trader and says, Rahul, what is happening with this trade? The risk in this is completely off. The PNL is off. What is your application valuing this trade? I see that this trade should be valued like this, but then it's not. The PNL is completely off. So I, as a techie, was not able to figure all of this out so quickly. So I did my CFA to basically understand this terminology and this lingo, follow these, traders that came to us with different sort of queries. So, that gave me a very good understanding of how some of these things function. Number two, it gave me a very good perspective on markets in general, because when you grow up, you don't know anything other than stocks. I would say, at least easy, I didn't know anything that you could invest in apart from company stocks. But then you have debt, you have derivatives, you have credit default swaps, you have commodities, you have so many other things. So just to broaden your horizon and scope of the things that you can think about or imagine and see what people are doing in those domains. Number three, that help in my CFA help in a lot is actually in my master's degree. So the things that probably lecturers and professors were discussing, like let's say derivatives, for example, a lot of these derivative strategies which you will sort of go through later. I knew a little bit about it already because I had done my CFA. So in that sense, the master's was a little easier for me. I don't know, Easy. Yeah, I think that's how it's helped me personally. But yeah, it just helps. And I know of a lot of people, who've done the CFA have opened up avenues in several organizations that they were a part of now. So it's beneficial for sure, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is from Ben. Ben asks you, would you think having completed the CFA exam, it gives more confidence in your know-how and ability to invest yourself?
Yeah, no, so I also invest, and the knowledge is something that I definitely use. My father, just for context, he's a chartered accountant, so he's also been sort of in the finance domain all his life. So there is a lot of these arguments, discussions that we have, more arguments than usual, that around where should invest in, because I come forth with my sort of financial CFA point of view. He's more of a traditionalist that way. So it just helps you to sort of analyze a lot of things in a much better fashion, because the innate workings around how things work and stuff. So yes, a lot of the investing I've done comes with a more informed opinion because of the fact that I know some of these things that are happening in the background, which I wouldn't have known if I didn't do a CFA maybe. But again, it depends a lot personally how you want to sort of look at it. It may work for me, may not work for you. So again, without a context or a perspective, it's very hard to generalize it.
Okay, so the next question is still from Ansheng. So could you please
Yeah.
recommend any internship tab for future careers?
Well, again, that industry is an oyster. It's just you just need to sort of see which thing sort of interests you more. Whether it's in a bank, whether it's in an investment management firm, whether it is being in education, like what Easy is doing. That's also an opportunity in, a prospective career in finance. So yeah, and so there's again, unless you know which domain you want to target, which domain you want to attack, I'd probably suggest going through LinkedIn, look for certain keywords. If you're like investment management, look at, investment management jobs in LinkedIn or Indeed or some of these hiring sites. LinkedIn works for me a lot. So I kind of recommend LinkedIn to everyone I meet. So, that's something that you could, actually explore based on the interests you have.
And the next question from Shiqi again. He
Yeah.
says, I don't think I will work in accounting and finance sector anymore in the future. So if you don't want to work for the accounting and finance sector, why you do this degree?
Doing the course. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. Do you think it is better to take a master directly, as I don't think I can find a placement in other sectors than accounting and finance without a degree?
Yeah, no, that's a tricky one. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, no. So like, don't do. It's actually very important to be also enjoying what you're studying, enjoying what you're working in as well. Just for the sake of doing a degree. I've been there, very honestly. With that, where people have been doing degrees just for the sake of it. But it's very important that you enjoy it as well. There are, of course, a number of domains that made I've seen like sort of physics majors also doing finance. So not to deride or be hurtful to any domains as such, but those migrations also can happen. But we'll stick to accounting and finance. You're young now, there's a lot. You shouldn't be so demoralized already. You have a lot to see, lot to learn. There are good things happening in accounting and finance as well. So yeah, I'd say complete, don't block it out completely. It's a good domain to be a part of. There's a lot of money for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, and especially, accounting and finance almost cover the whole area in the
Yeah.
business. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you don't work for the accounting and finance, what's where you want to work?
Mhm.
Shi said he want to be a data analytic, but the
Yeah.
data analytic is also belong to accounting and finance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Shiqi asked me which master degree you
Mm.
suggest, as maybe you can go for the sustainable finance or the fintech
Mm.
or something,
Yeah.
because this is the future. This kind of thing is also belong to the accounting and
Yeah.
finance. And
Yeah.
Shiqi want to be the actuarial, yes.
Mm.
And as I said, actuarial also belong to accounting
Yeah.
and finance.
Shichi, yeah, around data analytics. So I sort of work, and I'm sort of in a sister field of data analytics. So if you want to discuss that in specific, we reach out to me, and then we can have a
Okay,
discussion.
okay, Shiqi, you would like to go into risk management sector or maybe mathematics with finance. This is also
Yeah,
the accounting and
accounting and finance. Yeah,
it's
you
also
need to
accounting
know.
and finance. When you go for the level of Rahul Gupta, all the thing you do is related to the mathematics.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
just now you still in your undergraduate degree, so
yeah,
they cannot give you so many advanced mathematics. Otherwise, you will feel very overwhelmed. But in the future, when you do the
mm,
master and when you work for the industry, it's full.
yeah.
And when you go for the CFA exam or the FRM exam or the ACC, it's full of mathematics.
You need to know the workings of financial instruments to analyze the mathematics behind it, to sort of put it simply. You can't, to value a derivative, let's say using mathematical models, you need to know what a derivative is firstly.
Yes.
So that's how it becomes relevant. So yeah,
Yes,
don't give
and
up on it. It's a good domain.
I did the master degree with Rahul together, and we have the continent
Oh
mathematics
yeah.
and the risk
Yeah.
management and the measurement. It's a pure mathematics
Pure
programs.
mathematics play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some hard days we had there.
Yes, it's very difficult, and at that moment it was COVID. Yes, our first
Mm,
semester is fine, but the second
yeah.
semester is COVID, so it's super difficult. I
Yeah.
still clearly remember at that time Rahul is in India because he
India.
felt like I
Yeah.
was in Dublin,
Dublin.
and I think at that time
We were exchanging solutions over WhatsApp.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we stay awake for maybe 40 hours to try to finish the exam papers or something. It was
Yeah.
super difficult. Okay,
Difficult.
so
Yeah.
another question is from Suvasini. She
Yeah.
asked you, do you think it is useful to do the CFA exam even if I'm not sure what I want to do, just
Mm.
to uh just to have some experiences under my belt and gain insight in that sector?
Yeah, personally, if you ask me, you're like young, have this, insights that you want, but I'd still say don't do the CFA or anything in life just for the sake of it. If you genuinely want an insight into how that industry works, and, very honestly, the CFA exam is expensive as well. So there is that money element also that comes in. So, you wouldn't want, to put in that money later to realize, oh no, I'm not enjoying this, because then that's money down the drain. So yeah, as in probably just figure out what interests you the most, see if your aspirations are being fulfilled by the program, and then go for it. Don't I wouldn't suggest doing it just for the sake of it, because like I said, it requires effort, requires time, requires patience, requires some long nights, some long hours that you'll have to put in. So it's a big effort, and if all of it is something that you're not fully invested in, it may not work. Yeah.
Okay, so next question is from it's from sorry, how to pronounce it, Dan Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
They ask you, in your opinion, how much of an impact will AI have on financial industry in the future? So in our next topic, I will talk
Yeah.
about all the AI
AI.
and the AI and the cloud computing in the risk
Hmm.
management. We have this kind of discussion. And
Yeah.
Rahul, what is your opinion of the AI in the future of the financial?
Okay, so I feel it will have a good amount of impact. AI, not just in the financial industry, a lot of things in general, AI, machine learning will have an impact. In the financial industry, a bit broad, Jenkins, to be very honest. Like if you're looking at sort of specific impacts AI can look at in particular financial domains, we can probably speak in more detail about that. But if in general you ask me, AI has the potential to sort of be of a lot of value in sort of routine operational mundane tasks, that people do on a day-to-day basis without sort of, like maybe basically plugging in excels, for example, or working on models and all of that. So these are considered sort of routine tasks that a lot of people still do manually on a day-to-day basis. AI has the potential to reduce the that time that people invest in that. So, but I would still say there would still always be a space where your mind is still going to be very important, which AI, unfortunately, at this current stage cannot replace. Something like, like let's say a regulator comes to you with a question: what happened to your capital ratios for 2022 compared to 21? If you expect AI to answer that for you, you're living a little bit in paradise. The AI doesn't know what the bank financials are, what is happening inside the bank, what the operational aspects are. So for that, you need people with, humans to have those answers. So, it, like I said, AI will sort of help to reduce daily operational tasks, but there will always be a place where, skilled knowledgeable accounting finance individuals would have their say, would have their impact in organizations as well.
Okay, so I add some comments of the AI.
Hmm.
So in the
Yeah.
academic area, so the researcher is trying to how we can improve the machine learning in the financial sector. About the machine learning in the machine learning in forecasting, in prediction, and also the AI is about the sentiment analysis, to
Hmm.
use the text, to use the
Yeah.
voice, to use the video, to we use some AI tools to extract the information
Hmm.
from the text, from the video, from the voice, and to try to analyze the sentiment on the investment behaviors. This is the
Yeah.
AI for now in the academia, in the finance of the academic area. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So any other questions, guys?
Final questions in.
Okay. final
Yeah.
question, if we don't have any other questions, so
Yeah. Yeah. No, so just ending thoughts. Thank you. Very insightful questions. Actually, I had come in with the notion that I'm speaking to 18-year-olds in the accounting and finance, and so I would have to explain a lot of things a lot more. But you came across as a very well informed, good, knowledgeable group, and honestly, not a group that I've interacted with before. Like I said, I've spoken to other experts in the industry, but your questions are really good. So you are, I think, going in the right path. I hope this lecture in any way was helpful to all of you. My LinkedIn has been shared, like I said, so feel free to reach out to me over there if you need, some time from me. If you need some time from me to discuss specifics around certain things. So always open to whatever you'd like to ask. Just we'll have to work around your and my schedule, but we'll get there.
okay, thanks for your time, Rahul,
Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah.
and uh, and thanks for your suggestion, guidance.
Yeah.
I do appreciate. So I see you soon. Okay.
See you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Have a great day. Cheers.
Okay. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.